Hello, everyone. Welcome to this course on global conversation on AI ethics and African perspectives. My name is Bridget Boakye, and I am the AI policy lead at the Tony Blair Institute for Global Change, where we develop radical yet practical solutions to the big questions facing leaders in the 21st century. Now, this course will be structured in three ways. I'll give a short comment on sort of the presence of AI in Africa. Then I will discuss the challenges for AI on the continent. And then finally, the opportunity to address those challenges. And finally, close out with a discussion question and an assignment. It's important for me to preface this course with the fact that this is meant to be introductory. It's in no way exhaustive and cannot speak to the breadth and extent of the issues on the issues within AI ethics or the issues within AI in Africa or even the intersection of the two. But within this 10 to 15 minute time frame, I hope you join me in sort of exploring a few of the key issues and as an invitation for you to carry on, go along your curiosity and learn more about how things are on the continent. So as I mentioned, let's start with this discussion about the presence of AI in Africa, because I think for some people, given sort of the disparity and exposure to the tech scene on the continent, or maybe some existing stereotypes, there may be this notion that AI does not exist or people don't experience AI in Africa. But contrary to popular belief, a lot of Africans do in fact come across and experience AI because of their interaction with global platforms. So for Africans who are on the internet, using any kind of search engine or Google search engine, for example, you're interacting with Google search algorithm. And for most Africans for whom social media is the primary gateway to the internet, and specifically Facebook, they're interacting with Facebook's content moderation algorithms and Facebook's sort of ranking algorithms. So these are some of the ways in which that's one way actually every layperson on the internet in Africa is experiencing AI. But then there are many other ways, and these tend to be more focused within those who are building, designing, or coding AI. There are a number of AI startups on the continent, Blue Moon in Ethiopia, or InstaDeep, which a lot of people may have heard of in Tunisia. A number of Africans also work with international corporations or labs based in Africa. There's Google, IBM, Twitter. In Nairobi, there's a gamut, including the recent Google Product Development Center. There's the Microsoft Research Center, and Visa recently announced going to Nairobi as well. Then there are specialist academic researchers and African universities who are sort of dealing with or in AI and robotics, and such as the Makerere University AI Lab in Uganda. A lot of Africans, let me not overstate, but the number of Africans also work with business process outsourcing platforms or companies such as SumaSource, where they're either labeling data, feeding data, and in that sense, the Africans who also work on some of these gig-related platforms within that the traditional conception of the gig economy, whether Uber, Bolt, a number of recruiting platforms are also interacting with the AI algorithms that are on these platforms. And then there are a number of specialist forums and platforms where that are developing AI capacity across the continent, data science Africa, women in machine learning and data science on the continent. So then what's the challenge for Africa as it relates to AI on the continent? Although AI is still, despite the presence that I mentioned and the interaction with AI is still very nascent on the continent. There are three specific issues I would like to highlight, although there's a gamut. And again, using this as an introduction to broaden people's curiosity about this space. The first is an idea that comes from a cognitive scientist, Dr. Biba Berhain, which is the idea of algorithmic colonization. And Dr. Berhain basically says that you know, in the pursuit of state-of-the-art AI, African governments in particular, or big tech companies bring in AI technologies. And what we've seen around the world is that AI technologies have been proven to be biased against certain minority populations, whether women or Black people. They have certain inaccuracies and the gamut of issues that are in those systems, and what the implication is for importing those systems into Africa, one, and two, by importing those technologies, what happens is there's the suppression of the local innovation and sort of local development of AI solutions. I'll invite everyone who would love to learn more about this idea to read Abiba Berhain's work on algorithmic colonization on elephant, where she cites a number of examples as to how this is happening on the continent. The second issue or challenge would be access and inclusion. And this stems from the lack of internet access across the continent, whereby, you know, lack of access means that for local AI developers, the data will not be as inclusive or representative of the demographic, whether it's missing perspectives from rural areas or data points from rural areas or from women, those who are traditionally not included within the internet demographic on the continent. With access comes, you know, the issue of lack of inclusion, because if only a certain segment of the population have access to the internet, by and large, a very small segment of the population then, and a very certain type of the population will be developing AI technologies. And what does that mean for the technologies that are being built? So that's a second issue in access and inclusion. But within that space, there's quite a robust discussion around, you know, gender and African women, amplifying the voices of African women who have been traditionally sort of the taking on the onus of driving equality and fairness on the continent. And then the third issue or third challenge I'll discuss is legal protection, and specifically in this context of data protection and privacy. What we see on the continent is just about 67% of countries have data protection laws. And you know, in the absence of these data protection laws, the data which is being used to develop AI systems are sort of left to their onus and leave a lot of vulnerabilities for people in terms of their privacy. And even in countries where there are data protection laws, they are not as robust, and they're given financial constraints and lack of institutional capacity. They are not able to be enforced. So then what's the opportunity? So I'll take the opportunity directly from the challenge, right? If we're going to deal with AI algorithmic colonization, one opportunity would be for governments to develop AI governance related structures, such as national AI councils or a task force. And what this allows governments to do is have that expertise to be able to, one, formulate strategies and, regulation, but two, advise on sort of the procurement of or the importing of technologies, AI technologies that may not be beneficial for citizens in the country. The second opportunities for Africans and African governments to develop skills and capacity as directly related to the issue of access and inclusion. And in this space, there's so many organizations and so many people committed to this cause because having African representation, having the skill sets allows us to address a number of the issues that we've discussed, right? We'll be able to develop the local AI ecosystem. We'll be able to make sure that the developers who are in the space are representative of the demographic for which they're building for, and that we have the expertise to also advise on governance and regulation. So skills building and capacity, it's sort of an ongoing area, and there's always more that can be done, and it's being done there. The second is data protection and privacy. There's a huge opportunity for African governments right now, those who do have data protection laws and privacy to bolster their enforcement mechanisms and to harmonize and integrate across countries. Given the decentralized risk presented by AI solutions, for countries to kind of ensure that the data protection across the continent is equally applicable, so that the market also for AI solutions has easy ground to exist across many countries on the continent. For countries who do not have data protection and privacy laws, again, seeing the opportunity that AI presents for the continent, but also the harms and the risks, there's a huge opportunity now for governments to take that onus and take that necessary step to make sure those laws are in the books. So with that said, this again, hopefully some of the three issues and the three opportunities has sparked an interest or open a curiosity for you somewhere along those lines. But the issues are many. So the discussion question is, beyond the three that we've discussed, what other issues can you identify for AI in Africa? There's so much discussion specifically about sort of the cultural sort of alignment with the cultural alignment with for AI solutions on the continent. I'm giving a hint there, but please do go ahead and do take some time to write those down. And then the assignment I'll leave you with is this. If you were advising an African government facing these varied and complex challenges related to AI, what would be the most effective way to address these ethics challenges? I want to push us beyond just one-off solutions for specific issues, right? What we know is that there are a number of competing priorities, there are a number of resource constraints on the continent. So if you could come up with a framework or a strategy that allows African governments to systematically and strategically address some of these complex issues, what would that be? And how would that allow them to be more effective in the work that they're doing? So that's it for me. I would love to invite everyone to email me at b.boakye@institute.global. I would love to learn more about your work, your interest in this space. Again, I hope this introduction to AI and AI ethics and African perspectives has been interesting, and I look forward to hearing from you. All right, that's all from me. Thank you, and bye-bye.